All right. Hopefully this is working today. Let's see if you can see me well here. All right. Welcome back to Lunchtime Yoga. We are going to start on our backs today. So if you would like a pillow or a blanket or something to cushion your head, you're welcome to do that. Whatever is most comfortable for you. And we'll start with our knees bent. So you can bring your feet a little wider than hips distance apart and just let your knees rest in on each other. And just begin to settle into the floor. So maybe bring your hands to your low belly and just allow yourself to tune into your breath here. Feel your belly expand on the inhale. Soften and empty on the exhale. So maybe deepen your inhale here. Notice the breath coming into your lungs, expanding the rib cage. And then empty the belly like a balloon. Soften into the floor. We're going to continue that breath for just a few moments, and I'm gonna do a reading today just to kind of bring us into this space a little further. This is called Nothing is Missing from Judith Hanson Lassiter. Nothing is missing from this moment. There is no lack in you. You are already whole and joyous. You are already one with the universe. You are the light as it skims across the surface of the pond. You are the bird that sails through the clouds. You are surfing on the surface of God's love all the time. You are the deepest, widest, fullest, most passionate expression of divinity. There is nowhere to go and nothing to do. Forget yourself and remember everything. Fling yourself from the pinnacle of fear into the abyss of joy. Sing, dance, and love. You are the expression of all these things. Find that which was never lost. That's Judith Hanson Lassiter. So as you come to your next exhale, bring your hands to your sides, palms facing or touching the floor. Inhale and bring the right arm up above you, fingertips facing the ceiling. And then exhale and release the back of the hand to the floor above your head. Reaching out here with your right hand, feeling the length on your side body. And then inhale the fingertips back up towards the ceiling and exhale back to the floor. And we'll repeat to the left hand. So inhale the hands up, the left hand up, exhale the left hand to the back of the hand to the floor, excuse me. Notice if one shoulder feels a little more tense than the other. Notice if one of them is more sticky. Inhale the left hand up, exhale back down, and then we'll do both together. So inhale both hands up, turn the palms to face each other above your chest, and then cross the arms so the right arm is in front of the left and reach for the opposite elbows. Holding opposite elbows, inhale and exhale, drop the arms to the right. So the elbows are still bent, but you're just kind of drawing them over to the right here. So really stretching out that left shoulder. Take a nice breath here, and then inhale the arms back up to center. Exhale over to the left. Stretching out the right shoulder this time. And again, continuing to breathe. Notice if one shoulder is more sore than the other when you're moving them. Inhale back up. And this time we're going to drop the arms behind the head, or to the head or behind the head, whatever's best for you today. So the forehead might be enough for you. So rest your forearms right on your forehead. If not, you can bring them to the crown of your head or even beyond that. So notice what feels best for you. We're just starting to warm up, so it might not be very much today, and that's okay. And again, try not to arch your back too much. So if that's happening, notice that might be too far for your arms to go. And then release the hands back to the sides, and we'll repeat that again. So inhale the arms up, turn the palms to face each other. This time the left arm will be in front of the right, reaching for the opposite elbows. And again, inhale and exhale, draw the arms to the right. One breath here. Inhale, bring the arms up above the chest. Exhale to the left. Keep breathing. Inhale the arms back up to center. Exhale, and again, release to the forehead, maybe the crown of the head or beyond that. Really feeling the length along the side waist here. Paying close attention to the ribs so they're not flaring out, making sure that you're still making contact with the floor here. Inhale the arms back up, and then release the hands to the sides. Bring your feet back to hips distance. And just begin to windshield wiper your legs. So drop them over to the left, drop them over to the right. Nice and slow to start. Just bringing some motion into the hips. The more motion that we bring into our joints, the more fluid and the easier they move. Generally, the less pain we have that way too. And then this time, bring the knees back to center. Lift the hips just slightly so you can bring them over to the left, and then drop the knees over to the right. So a nice twist here, and if it feels comfortable, bring your left hand up and overhead. If that's too much, just keep it down to your side. Notice the stretch in your left side body here. Opening up the ribs, really getting into all those sticky spots that we hold on to tension. Inhale the knees back up to center, release the hand down, and then recenter the hips and draw them over to the right and drop the knees to your left. Again, if it's comfortable, you can bring your right hand up above you, above the head here. Stretching out the right side body this time. And you're kind of energetically drawing the right knee towards the front of the mat. So you really can't move it, obviously, but you're drawing it down in order to create space in the side waist and the ribs here. And release the right hand back down, and then bring the knees back up and recenter the hips again. And then we're going to roll over to the left side to start. Bring the knees at a 90-degree angle from the hips, and bring the hands out in front of you. So the hands should be about shoulder height here in a straight line. Elbows are straight. Inhale and bring the right hand up above you, and then exhale and bring the right hand to the floor behind you. Again, opening up the chest. So we're really working on the rib cage and the torso and opening up the chest. Notice any areas that might be really tight or sticky. And try to just breathe into those spots. Give a little bit more love to those areas of our body. Inhale the right hand back up. Exhale back together with the left. Bend the elbows and roll back over to your back and then over to the right. Again, knees are at a 90-degree angle with your hips. Reach the hands out in front of you at shoulder height. Inhale the left hand up this time and exhale the hand behind you. Opening up the chest towards the ceiling. Keep breathing. Inhale the left hand up. Exhale back to the other hand. Bend the elbows again and roll back to your back. Actually, you know what? We're going to come up to seated. So maybe stay on your side and just gently push yourself up to seated. Nice and slow, so we don't want to move too quickly into seated from laying down. We're just going to do a couple shoulder warm-ups here in seated before we move into hands and knees. So your legs can be crossed. Like I said last week, you can either have them crossed or stretched out in front of you, whatever's most comfortable for you. And just begin to roll the shoulders. So inhale and draw the shoulders up and back. Exhale, back and down. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, back and down. I always get a crunchy spot in my back of my shoulder blade in this, and it reminds me that I need to do this more often. Notice if there's any spots that just kind of catch while you're doing this. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, back and down. And then bring your shoulders back to center. And we'll just begin to draw the chin towards your chest here. So kind of allowing gravity to bring your head down. And then roll the right ear over to the right shoulder. Open up on the left side of the neck here. Keep breathing. And then turn the head so the chin is towards the collarbone, gazing down to the right. Inhale back to face front, and then roll the head down through center and over to the left. So the left ear is towards the left shoulder. Try not to hike that shoulder up. It's hard if it's tense. And then draw the chin towards the left collarbone. Inhale, face front. Exhale, roll the head back through center. Before you lift your head, leave it here and bring your palms of your hands to your forehead. And begin to resist your hands with your forehead. So pushing your forehead into your hands and resisting with your hands. So creating a little bit of resistance between your forehead and your palms. And then release that and allow your palms to bring your head back up. And bring your hands behind the head. So the thumbs can be towards the base of the skull, the palms are in the back of your head. And again, resist. So push the back of your head into your palms, resist with your palms here. Creating some traction for your neck. And then release that. And the last thing before we go into table pose, bring your fingertips to the ground. Turn your left palm up and reach up towards the sky with your left fingertips. And then walk your right hand out and side bend over to your right. Open up here. Notice the chest, so we're not caving in the chest, we're opening up here, drawing the arm backwards against the wall behind you, energetically speaking. Inhale the arm back up, exhale back down, and then inhale the right hand up so the fingertips are pointing up towards the sky, and then walk the left hand out, reaching over to your left. Again, opening up the chest here, opening up that shoulder, and just reaching out. Inhale back up and release the hand, and now we'll come into hands and knees. So table pose should be nice and square. The hands are directly under the shoulders. The knees are directly under the hips. Your index fingers are in line with the sides of your mat. Inhale and exhale, empty the belly and look down to the knees or thighs, arching the upper back here, up towards the sky. Think of separating the shoulder blades here, and then drawing the shoulder blades together on the inhale, melting the chest towards the floor. So if you focus on the shoulder blades here, you can think about squeezing them together on the inhale, separating them and drawing them apart on the exhale. And emptying the belly. Inhale, draw the chest towards the floor, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Exhale, draw the shoulder blades apart. And then come back to center. Turn the left fingertips towards the right hand, and then reach out with your right hand up towards the sky, and reach the right hand underneath the left arm, and bring your right side of your face down to meet your left hand. So we're coming into a twist here. This is called thread the needle. So the right arm is threaded through the left arm. Keep breathing. Push into the left hand to come back up, and then change sides. So turn your left hand back to face the front of your mat. Turn your right fingertips to face the left hand, and then reach out with your left hand up towards the sky and reach through the right arm over to the side. Rest your left side of your face to your right hand. Push into your right hand to come up, and then move the hands back to face the front of the mat. Bring the hands just in front of the shoulders here, so like one hand length in front. And then tuck the toes under. We're gonna move into downward dog. So gently lift the knees, gently lift the hips. Keep the knees bent to start for your first downward dog. And draw the chest towards the thighs here. Inhale and exhale. And then when you're ready, just begin to maybe pedal out the feet. So straightening out the knees, alternating one at a time. Straighten out the left leg, bending the right. Straighten out the right leg, bending the left. And then bring your heels up, all the way up, hips up towards the sky, and then draw the heels down towards the floor. Totally okay if your feet aren't flat on the floor, just drawing the heels towards the floor. On your next inhale, look up to your hands.
Exhale, and then walk your feet forward into standing forward bend. So your feet are up towards your hands. And release the head down. Release the neck and shoulders. If you have blocks and you want to bring blocks underneath your hands to bring the floor closer to you, feel free. The main idea is to really release into the pose, standing forward bend. Maybe shake your head no here. Nod your head yes. Try to feel the tension just draining out of the tip of your fingers and the crown of your head. And then when you're ready, inhale and begin to roll up one vertebra at a time, allowing your head to arrive last. And we'll come into mountain pose. So in mountain pose, I like to always kind of rock back and forth on my feet, try to find the midpoint of your feet, the arches of your feet. Notice, or try to imagine the outer leg lines drawing down into the ground, really rooting down. Tuck the navel to the spine. Roll the shoulders back and open. Shoulder blades together in the back. Lift the chin slightly, fingertips down towards the floor. Feel the strength and stability of mountain pose. Inhale and bring the hands up above the head. Reaching out with your fingertips, maybe gazing upward into upward hand pose. Back of the heart lifts upwards. Bring the palms to touch. And then draw the hands down through the center of the body as you fold forward into standing forward bend again. Releasing the head towards the floor. Inhale and bring your hands to your shins and create a flat back. And then exhale back down into standing forward bend. And step back into downward dog. So in downward dog, we like to draw the tops of the shoulders, the upper arms kind of down towards the floor. Really opening up the back here. Bringing the chest towards the thighs. And then come forward into plank. So you want to roll forward just slightly. Release the knees if you want to come down to your belly. And then come all the way down. Untuck the toes. Point the toes back. Lift the chest and neck, head and shoulders up into low cobra. And then release back down to the belly. And bring your hands in front of your face. Release the forehead down to the floor, to your pillowed hands. And just begin to breathe into the floor. So feel your belly expand. Feel your rib cage opening up as you inhale, softening as you exhale. And then on your next inhale, lift your head and begin to bring your arms, kind of walk them over to the right here. So again, this is sort of a slight movement. You're just kind of drawing your right shoulder over to or your left shoulder rather, over to the right and opening up that left side. And then walk your hands back to the center and come over to the left here. Hopefully you can see me, but we're just slightly moving over to the side. And then walk back to center. Bring your hands to your side ribs again. And then come up into all fours. Tuck the toes under and come back up into downward facing dog.
Look up to your hands and come into standing forward bend again. Release the head down. Shake your head no. Nod your head yes. Release any residual tension that you're holding. If you want, you can even hold on to opposite elbows again and just kind of rock back and forth here. Kind of like a rag doll, just allowing any tension to flow out of the crown of your head. Releasing the low back. Bring your hands up to the shins again, half lift. And then release back down. This time, bring the hands to the sides of your feet and step back your left foot to a lunge. So the right knee is bent, the left leg is back, and then lower the left knee and untuck the toes. Come up on your fingertips, maybe come up on your knee as well, and feel the stretch in the front of your left thigh here. So lifting the chest up, drawing the shoulders back. If you're comfortable, stay here. If you want to go further, release the hands and begin to draw them up above your head, maybe gazing upward. And then look forward, release the hands back down, tuck the toes back under and lift up. We are going to come into Warrior One. So step your foot in, your left foot in to Warrior One stance, which basically your toes are pointing out towards like 10 or 11 o'clock. The right knee is still bent in front, and your stance is just a little bit shorter than it was. Bring your right hand to your hip, bring your left hand to your hip, and come all the way up. So the right knee is bent, the left knee is straight, and we'll come into Warrior One. So draw the hands up, forward and up, and reach out with the fingertips up towards the sky. Warrior stances are very strong and stable, powerful. And then release the hands back down. Pivot on the heel to turn your left foot forward again, and then bring the right foot back to meet the left. Come back into downward dog. Look forward between your hands and step your feet forward again. Hang from your hips into standing forward bend. Bring your hands to your hips again and come all the way up to mountain pose. So sweep your hands up, palms touch. Bring your hands to your heart and take a breath. Release the hands back down, standing forward bend. And this time we're bringing the right foot behind you, so straight back into a lunge again. The left leg is bent, and then release the right knee down, point the toes, come up to your fingertips, and come all the way up to your front knee. Lift the chest here. Stay here if this is best, or release the hands and draw them all the way up. Stretching out the side waist here. And then release the hands back down. Lift up the knee. Sorry, I'm trying to remember here. We did the Warrior Two, or Warrior One. So bring the foot just slightly in. This time the right toes are pointing out towards 2 o'clock. And again, you're shortening your stance between your heels. The left knee stays bent. Bring the left hand to the left hip. Bring the right hand to the right hip. And draw the chest up and over here. Again, bending into that left knee. Release the hands and draw them up towards the sky into Warrior One. It seems like Warrior One would be a more simple stance, especially because it's called Warrior One, but it actually is a little more challenging than what we're used to with the Warrior Two. So this is a good challenge pose for those of us that don't do it as often. I guess I do, but release the hands back down, pivot on the heel and turn the right foot forward, and then bring the left foot back to meet the right and come into downward dog. And then roll forward into plank. Again, you can modify on the knees if you want or stay up in a full plank. And then lower down to the floor on your belly. Point the toes. And this time, bring the hands in front of you into Sphinx pose so the elbows are underneath the shoulders. The palms are on the floor. And lift the chest and head, neck, and shoulders. And then before we release back to the floor, let's turn our head towards the right and look down to your right heel. And then come back to center and look down towards your left heel. And come back to center. Release down to the belly. Bring the hands to the low ribs and push up into hands and knees. And we're going to come into child's pose. So bring your big toes to touch. Widen the legs here so the knees are nice and wide, maybe mat distance. And then draw your hips back to your heels and reach out with your hands. Child's pose can be a great resting pose for many people. It can also be a pose that's not so comfortable. So if this is not something that you prefer to do, you can always go into downward dog, which we're going to do next. But it can be a nice reset for the nervous system if it is comfortable for you. If you bring your head towards the floor, to the floor, inhale, come back to center, and then bring the knees back in, tuck the toes under and come into downward dog. Again, look up towards your hands and walk your feet forward into standing forward bend. Bring the hands up the shins, flat back, half lift. And then release back to standing forward bend. Bend the knees here. Deepen the bend of the knees and bring your hips parallel with the ground. So kind of releasing into a seated posture here. Hands to the hips. We're coming into powerful pose now. So you can stay here if this is great for your low back. Otherwise, release the hands up and forward. A lot of people call this chair pose, but there's nothing easy about this pose. So I like to call it powerful pose. And then release the hands to the sides and come all the way up to down or to mountain pose. Prayer hands. And again, check in with your breath here. All right, come to the side of your long edge of your mat here for the warrior sequence. We're going to do warrior 2 again. So bring your feet nice and wide in a wide angle stance. And then pivot on the right foot to start and bend into that right knee. So your heels can be aligned here, or your heel and the arch of your left foot can be aligned, whatever works best for you. And then just begin to bend that right knee, bring the navel to the spine, draw the arms up parallel to the floor, Palms facing up to start, and then turn the palms facing down and look over the right hand. Warrior two. Release the left hand to the left thigh and bring the right arm up and overhead into reverse warrior. Come back into warrior two. Bend the right elbow and bring the right forearm to the right thigh, and then sweep the left arm up and over. This is extended side angle. And then inhale, come back into warrior two. Bring your hands to your hips, straighten that right leg, and pivot on the heel. So we'll move to the left side. So pivot on the left heel, bend into the left knee. Hips are facing the long edge of the mat still. And then draw the arms up parallel to the floor, palms facing up to start, and then palms down, looking over the left hand this time. Release the right hand to the right thigh and reach up and overhead. Reverse warrior. Come back into warrior two, and then bend the left elbow, bring the left arm to the left thigh, and then reach up and over with the right hand. Inhale and come back into warrior two, hands to the hips, straighten that left leg. And before we bring our heels and toes together, let's do a standing forward bend in our wide angle stance. So our toes are parallel with the short edges of our mat, pointing towards the long edge of the mat. Bring your hands to your hips as you fold the crease, the hip crease. And then draw your hands toward the floor. So they can be in front of your face here, or if you have the flexibility and range of motion, they can be in line with your feet. And just fold and try to release the head. We don't want to hold on to any tension in our neck here, so just release the head down towards the floor. And then bend your right knee and stretch out that left leg. And come back to center and bend the left leg and that left knee. Stretch out the left knee, the right leg, excuse me. Getting all tongue-tied. And then come back to center. Bring your hands to your hips and come all the way back up. And then heel toe your feet back together. We're going to work our way back down to our mat for our cool down. So if you come to the front of your mat and put your feet on the edges of your mat, so you can feel the edge of your mat, so your feet are nice and wide, wider than hips distance. And then draw your hands up and overhead and release the hands behind you. And then clasp the hands and open up the chest here and the shoulders. Lift the chin just slightly. And breathe. And then release the hands and bring your palms to touch in front of your heart. And then we're just going to begin to bend the knees here, coming down into kind of a squat. So the elbows are inside the knees, maybe resting on the knees on the inside here, pushing out with your elbows, coming into a nice garland pose or malasana. And if that's too much for you, go ahead and come down to your seat. So bring your hands down to the floor and release down to the ground. And then we'll just roll down to your back. So As slowly as you can, just roll down to cool down. And let's just stretch our legs out long to start here. Bring your hands to your low belly and try to reconnect with your breath. And then bend your knees. Bring your right knee into your chest and hug it in. Maybe take your right knee with your right hand and draw it out over to your right armpit. Just opening up that hip here. And come back to center. And then bring the right ankle to the left knee and draw the left knee into the chest. So your right hand goes in between your legs to hold on to the back of your left thigh. And breathe. If this doesn't stretch enough for you, you can always bring your legs over to the left just slightly to give a little more stretch in the right hip. And then release the left foot back down. Before you uncross, bring the right foot over to the left here in a slight twist. Inhale, bring the knees back up and then release the right foot back down. And then hug in the left knee. And again, hold the left knee with the left hand and draw it to your left armpit. Release back to center. And then your left ankle on your right knee. Reach through with your left hand and bring your right knee into your chest. Bring your right foot back down and then bring your left foot over to the right. Inhale the legs back up and release the left foot. And then straighten your knees out again. Bring your hands above your head. Full body stretch. See how long you can make your waist. And then walk your feet over to your right, reaching out with your left foot. And then bring your hands over to your right, reaching out with your left hand. Come into a C shape or a banana. And then come back to center. And walk the feet over to the left, reach out with your right heel, and then walk the hands over to your left, reaching out with your right hand. And then come back to center. Bend your knees again and hug them into your chest. Maybe rock back and forth with your knees. Massage out the low back here. then circle your knees around. And then reverse that circle. Separate the knees and begin to circle them away from each other. So not together necessarily, but away from each other. And then release the feet back down. And we're going to come into a supported Shavasana pose today. So I don't know what everybody has at home. If you have blocks or a yoga bolster or even a blanket or a cushion, you can take your blanket. If you have some kind of blanket handy, I probably should have mentioned that at the beginning. I wasn't really thinking of it. But roll your blanket into a nice roll like that, and then just put it along the length of your mat. And we're going to lay on this with our, like, in the middle of our spine. So kind of bring it to your, I don't know if that'll work actually, because it's not. I'm just going to show you. If you don't have a blanket, don't worry about it. Find a comfortable rest position for Shavasana. If you do, I think I'll just, you can roll it, or you can do like an accordion fold where you fold one side and then fold the other. Like that. And then what you can do is you can fold the end of it into sort of like a pillow. I'm not sure if you can see that. So you're kind of rolling it lengthwise and then folding it back to create sort of a cushion for your head. And then what you'll do is you'll just bring your sacrum to the end of it and then roll down so that your spine is along the blanket or cushion. And then you're just bringing your hands out to the side or down to your sides. Your legs can be long or bent. Sometimes people like to have a cushion underneath your knees for rest time, if that's rest time. I have young kids, so Shavasana. Whatever's more comfortable for you. The idea of Shavasana is to be in a position that you are fully at rest, in order to allow your body to really relax into the floor. So get a blanket to cover with, or put a sweatshirt on, maybe put your socks back on, get comfortable. I know here in the Midwest we're having a nice cold snap, so definitely get warm for your rest. And then when you're ready, just begin to settle into your mat again, just like when we started. So in the yoga tradition, the idea of Shavasana is to really enjoy the labor that you just put in with the exercising. So your body is finally able to rest because you worked it out and you did more. So it's an opportunity to meditate and to find a little more inner peace. So feel your breath softening and just allow yourself to settle into your mat. Notice the tops of your feet and your toes releasing. Notice the arches of your feet, your heels and your ankles releasing into the floor. Notice the shins and calves releasing. Release the knees, the back of the thighs, the hamstrings. Release the pelvis and the hips, the belly and the inner organs. Release the sacrum and the low back. Release the rib cage, the solar plexus, the chest. Release the shoulder blades, the tops of the shoulders, the upper arms. Relax the elbows, the forearms, the wrists. Release the palms, the hands, the fingers. Just really try to release all the tension into the floor. Release the shoulders and the neck, throat. Relax the jaw, the tongue, and the soft palate. Release the ears, the temples, and the forehead. Let go of any tension that you're holding in your facial muscles. Just let all the tension melt into the floor. Release the top of your head and the scalp. And the back of your head into the floor. Just allow yourself to be right in this moment. Notice your breath softening. I'm going to read this poem one more time. It's by Judith Hanson Lassiter. It's called Nothing is Missing. Nothing is missing from this moment. There is no lack in you. You are already whole and joyous. You are already one with the universe. You are the light as it skims across the surface of the pond. You are the bird that sails through the clouds. You are surfing on the surface of God's love all the time. You are the deepest, widest, fullest, most passionate expression of divinity. There is nowhere to go and nothing to do. Forget yourself and remember everything. Fling yourself from the pinnacle of fear into the abyss of joy. Sing, dance, and love. You are the expression of all these things. Find that which was never lost. I like that poem because it's a reminder that we are enough. And I think that probably everyone could use that reminder every so often. As you leave the practice today and move on with your day and your weekend, just remember that you are enough. Nothing is missing. begin to come back into the room. Take a deep breath in, sigh it out. Maybe reach your arms up above your head for a full body stretch. Wiggle your fingers and toes. And then when you're ready, roll to your side. Stay there for a breath. And when you're ready, slowly move back into seated. Trying not to pop your head up too fast. And then in seated, bring your hands to the sides of you, fingertips to the floor. Turn the palms facing up. Inhale the hands up. Touch the palms above the head. Exhale and bring the hands to the heart. And lower the head to meet the heart. Thank you so much for coming to join me today for your practice. Stay safe and well. See you next time.